Welcome to the show. Today, I'm very excited to have Tre Bynoe on the show. He is a financial planner with TCU Wealth Management. So thank you for coming and agreeing to be on the show.
Thanks for having me.
We're going to do, Tre has his own podcast, and his lovely wife coordinated some questions with me, and I actually preferred hers over mine. So we're going to mostly follow those. They talk about Tre's story, which I'm very interested in, and this podcast is a lot about what motivates people, what inspires people. That, I think, would be the essence of it. And it just happens to be that work is a huge part of succeeding and, accomplishing the life you want. And so, it all ties together. But I'll kind of go into a little professional bio for you, and then we'll get into the show. So Tre is a certified financial planner and chartered investment manager with TCU Wealth Management and Avisio Wealth. He serves on various boards and committees, including Foundations Learning, the Financial Planning Association of Canada, and the FB Canada Standards Council Ethics Panel. He specializes in working with corporate owners and gets more excited than he should about optimizing after-tax wealth.
Is that what my wife said?
It is. Yes, it is actually.
Nice. That's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
So, yeah, really excited. Did I say, is it
Aviso?
Aviso. Okay,
Aviso
let's get it
Wealth.
Right. Aviso Wealth.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So, yeah, welcome to the show. I have some warm-up questions we're going to start with, though, first. Do you like deep analysis or fast decisions?
I think they both have their part to play. I think that fast decisions will ultimately, if you have to pick one, fast decisions probably will end up being better. Most people get stuck in analysis paralysis, and it means that they don't make.
I love that phrase.
They don't make any decision, and that's not making a decision is. I say not making a decision is still a decision. So typically, making a decision, even if it isn't an optimal one, is better than avoiding the decision entirely. So
very wise.
Fast.
Very wise. One financial myth you wish would disappear.
Financial myth that investing is risky. I'd say most people don't understand when we talk about risk in my industry. Most people don't understand what risk means, what it is. To you, it will mean something different than your neighbor. Then everybody sees risk through a different lens. So I think if we could get rid of the idea that it is risky and be a little bit more specific of what type of risk you're taking, I would get rid of that. I think that would help a lot of people make better decisions.
Would not doing anything be a risk?
Absolutely,
like
yeah.
Still taking a risk,
right? And that's what I think a lot of people don't understand is, yeah, as you said, not doing nothing might even be more risky than doing something. So
yeah. What's the tagline on every advisor commercial? Like, is it like past results can't guarantee future outcomes?
Past performance doesn't guarantee future results. Yeah.
We're gonna just preface this whole episode with that, and then what's the other funny one? Oh, these are Tre's own beliefs and do not reflect the values or beliefs of the company.
That's the one. Yeah. There's a disclaimer that get on all our episodes that gets.
Oh, you actually have to do that?
Yeah, there's a disclaimer.
It's funny.
I might even send it your way because the compliance might. Say I have to put it in there somewhere. But.
So we're complying here. I like this.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm tongue-in-cheek complying, but yeah, I get it. I get why it is.
Yeah.
I get why it is. Yeah. It's probably just consumer protection, so you're not promising things or...
Yeah, because there's a lot that isn't guaranteed. There's also like Aviso don't want me going and saying something that puts their name at risk. And,
yeah,
I'm...
Yeah, then it's probably like liabilities mostly, right?
Yeah.
Paper notes or digital systems?
Oh, wow. I am still a paper notes person, but I wish I wasn't. Like I write paper notes when I'm in meetings with clients, but that quickly gets turned into a digital format so I can keep track of it. But I find written notes helps me be a little bit more engaged.
Yeah.
Instead of being engaged with my screen, I'm engaged with the actual meeting. So I use both, but still first it goes onto paper.
Well, it's okay. It's funny you say that because even with the show, I could have an iPad or laptop here, but you know what I hate the most about devices is the notifications.
Yeah.
Like it's complicated to disable them. it's like really complicated to go into a focused mode with any type of software.
Mm-hmm.
And so I find when I'm with someone, like I love a piece of paper, and then for some reason I don't have my pen with me. That's fine, but usually a pen. But I find like even when I take notes, it's part of the way I think about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I can go. So when I do meetings, I do a notebook, but I'll like have doodled in the corners of the page, and I even know when I go to that meeting, even if it's 2 months ago. And I do it by date, so I can just go in my calendar, see when I met with them, and find it.
Okay.
And then I like kind of know what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And I'd find digitally, it's like, because everything's formatted and like there's no writing variance or, versus like handwriting a page of notes. I find I get overwhelmed and lost. And plus, yeah, you're right. Like typing and stuff is a little bit much in a meeting. Anyway, one habit that quietly makes you work better.
Going back to what you just said, I turn my notifications off from my phone. So like the family group chats and the emails and things like that, I turn them off, and it means that I have to physically go in and check to see if stuff is urgent. There is an element to that it means I don't get notifications if something is urgent, but it happens so rarely that it definitely works out better.
Yeah, like your Instagram follower count is not urgent.
No, the LinkedIn notifications not like, so I get rid of all of that, don't have that as notifications. And then when I do sit down to look through my LinkedIn, I'll look through the news and things like that. It's an intentional thing instead of just constant throughout the day. I bet if you counted, for those that don't, if you counted how many times you go to your phone for one thing and then you end up down the rabbit hole of notifications, and we spend a lot of time in the digital nether.
Yeah.
And notifications are a huge issue, so I turn them off.
I like that. Yeah. So I love the set of, I already said this, I like the set of questions. Your wife, her name's Sierra.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then just you have a young family.
Yeah.
How old's your family now?
So there's me, my wife, and then we have a 14-month-old baby girl, Araya. So she's our first, and she's currently teething. So that's fun. Nights are rough at the moment.
Do you work mostly? Are you hybrid, or you said you're mostly in the office?
Right now, yeah. I do my annual reviews between December and February time-ish, and then it leaves the majority of my year open for my deeper planning and things like that. So during this period of time, I'm in the office a lot more because I'm doing appointments all day, but during the summer months, it's maybe 50-50.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then is a lot of your time just with people? Like, is that a huge part of being in your role? Like you're meeting people, clients, new business development, or past or current clients, those kind of things? Or
because of the way that I have it set up, my year is split into different things. So this part of the year, yes.
That's when your meetings are?
Majority, it's meeting with clients because I've done the work already. Yeah. I've done the numbers and the analysis beforehand. During the summer months, during my planning months, I would say my meetings is significantly less, and it's mainly focused on complex issues that we're trying to solve, or onboarding new clients, or things like that. That is a little bit more data heavy and requires, me to just focus on one situation for a few days or something like that. So it's very different, which is nice. I get flexibility. It's different most months.
Do you like that variety of the year?
Yeah, for sure.
And then I assume the tax year is kind of what sets the pace for that order of operations. Like people's, if you're trying to maximize, what was it in the intro? We said maximizing after-tax wealth.
Yeah, so different people, if they're at different stages of their life, you'll be focusing on different things. So that, for example, if for you have a business, it means that around your year ends for both personal and business, there'd be a little bit more work to do to determine how much you should be paying yourself, how much you should be saving for retirement, how much you should be saving for other goals, like that type of thing. And that would tend to happen around the end of tax years.
So if your fiscal year's offset, which mine is,
yeah,
you'd work with a person like me in the middle, like ours is June 30th is our year end. Mm-hmm. So you'd do some work then, and then,
yeah.
But I assume most people line up calendar year.
Yeah, most the majority, and a lot of it you can do in advance, especially if you have a fixed income or you have a way of controlling your income. So if you have a corporation, for instance, and you're a partner in a firm and you have your salary and then any dividends are paid into the corporation, it means that you can control when you take that out. So it's not as urgent because we can look way ahead of time versus somebody that maybe you're a sales professional and you have commission and that's all personal, then your income is fluctuating throughout the years. So for those type of clients, I try to meet a little bit more urgently towards the end of the year and try to make sure that we sit down and figure out what we're doing for RSP contributions and things like that. So it really depends on where that person is in their life cycle, depending on what's urgent and when we make sure that we meet, because there's things we got to do. So
yeah, because you want to play that game of optimizing, like when in that phrase after tax wealth, it's not just about the year end but like the life end. It's like did you maximize enough through your life and get all the gains you possibly could from avoiding too much tax or whatever.
Often a big thing people will get wrong is the way the tax code works in Canada is it's progressive. So the more you earn, you pay more tax on higher dollar figures, but that's in the year. So if you can put income from one year into another year, oftentimes it makes sense. And that's really the key wealth creation lever that somebody with a corporation has, which people that do not have that ability don't have, is you get to decide when you take personal income versus somebody else. Often other people don't have that ability to decide. They just use RSPs to try to figure it out or move income from one year into another. But yeah, it's the benefit of a corporation. That's the...
How'd you get into this? Like, how'd you start? Like, we'll go into your life story in a little bit, or unless that'll teach us. And when we explore, we'll learn that. Should we just get into it?
Yeah, we can get into it.
Let's do it. Okay, awesome. Yeah. Well, you have an accent, so you didn't come from like Saskatoon, Regina, Swift Current, PA, whatever. So we're gonna start there. So for listeners who haven't met you yet, how would you describe who you are today?
Wow, that's a big question.
Your wife made these, by the way.
Okay, I'm going to thank her for that later. I would say...
Are you going in blind to these?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay, good.
How would I describe who I am today? I would say that I am the product of being very intentional with the decisions that I make. So a large part of my childhood, like my dad was a single father, and then I ended up going into the foster care system. So I had not the greatest trajectory going into adulthood, and then made decisions very intentionally to make sure I didn't end up where I would have naturally been heading, I guess. And I'm very fortunate that I have a great family, and the decisions that we've made have panned out very well. But I am the product of making decisions, which is why I'm such a big fan of making decisions, because I think a lot of people let life happen to them instead of making decisions that impact where they will end up. So
I find it interesting when people who like to help others, like everybody has like a bit of that, but like you are that type of person. Whether you said it or not, I already know, like I can tell that about you. Like you have this desire to optimize for people, help them get to where they want to go. Typically they have some sort of path in their life where they've experienced the benefits of, I mean, it could even be the opposite, that they were maybe missing it too.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's even part of your story, which we'll get into, but yeah, like they have these key moments that like, they wish that, that for others, that experience they had of like overcoming or learning or making the most of it. And then that desire to help others achieve the same thing, I find a pretty common thing, which I really appreciate. You built a successful life here in Canada. Where did life start for you?
I was born in the UK, so born in England. My mum's actually Canadian. My dad was in the military in the UK, so he's from Barbados, and he was in Red Deer, funnily enough, or Medicine Hat, I think was the base, and he met my wife, and my wife, my mum.
Your mum.
And they went he took her back to the UK, and then they had me, and I have a twin sister as well.
So you're dual citizenship? right? Yeah.
Naturalized British though. So in the UK, you take the nationality of your mum if there's if she's not a citizen or whatever. So I was actually born a Canadian citizen in the UK, and then I was naturalized a British citizen when I was like 6 or 7 or something. So different than what people would assume it'd be the other way around. But no, it meant
Does every country do it differently? Like, could you have two different countries where one naturalized or one prefers the other parent?
yeah, probably.
Like,
I mean, that's how I think in the US, if you're born in the US, you're automatically a US citizen, or that's how it has been. But different countries do it differently, depending. Yeah, but yeah, so that's where, and I grew up there. That's where I went to school. That's where I went to college. It was all in the UK. And then when I aged out of the foster care system, that's when I moved to Regina.
you skipped a few things.
Yeah.
You really jumped.
Yeah, it was a lot.
You were born and then you came out of foster care. That's a bit of a window there.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna let that slide.
Okay, that's okay. We can go back.
I have permission from your wife to ask these questions.
Good.
So the next thing is early life in foster care. So like this is vulnerable. So I'd love to hear it if you're willing to share.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So my dad became a single dad when we were 2. So me and my sister. My mum struggled. She's no longer with us, but she struggled with various addictions and stuff like that throughout her life. And anyway, he ended up as a single dad, which is kind of impressive considering he had made his fair share of mistakes, but considering his background, it's very rare, especially in that time frame. Like, he was a black father, single dad, raising 2 children. Definitely society was he would have been an outlier for sure. And he did as good as he knew how to do. But yeah, when I was 13, I ended up in the foster care system. And unfortunately, yeah, that relationship broke down, but he tried. So then when I went into the foster care system, it was really scary.
Were you with your sister at the time?
No.
Did you get split up or?
My sister stayed there. My sister was still stayed with my dad and his new wife, and so it was just me.
Is this hard to talk about, by the way?
No,
or
it's okay.
You share this a lot?
I to a degree. It's a major part of how I got to where I am today, because when you're put in a situation where it feels like it's on you, right? Like, it's the people that are supposed to be, like, technically supposed to be there for you aren't. You have to do it yourself. And whether I wouldn't say it's fully healthy as a response to that, but I definitely became very self-motivated and very independent, where it was a case of nobody's going to hand it to me if I'm going to avoid this. Because you would see, like, I would go out with other foster kids and stuff like that, and you would see people that have aged out of the foster care system that were now on drugs and now on, like, it wasn't a great,
like, the outcome,
it's
the
not
expected
great.
outcome
Yeah,
of that.
absolutely.
And I don't know if UK is different than Canada, but I don't think it's any
Probably,
better here.
yeah, it's probably not very different.
Like, there's no guarantees if you stayed at home that everything would go well, but let alone
not having, because when you don't have, especially going through your teen years without any type of parental guidance.
Yeah, you said you're 13, so that's grade 8.
Yeah,
like, it's
like prime getting into trouble.
Yeah,
that's exactly. And then you do that without any guidance or any boundaries. It can end poorly. I think it ends poorly more than it goes well. But even from then, I knew I was very fortunate that one of the foster families I went to see were pretty wealthy themselves, and understanding how they built it, because they were self-made. They did it through buying land and building homes, and they'd live in it and then keep moving and buying a new one.
And this was like in the 90s or early 2000s, or?
This would be in 2000s. Yeah. And it was, I mean, great for, it was my first view of what's possible, because you're only surrounded by the like people tend to be surrounded by other people like them, right? With a similar type of mentality. So like my dad was of the mindset that investing in the stock market was gambling. So he didn't do it versus, so that was what I knew. That was what I was taught versus.
And I think that's common still to this
It's
day.
still very much so. And it can be, right? Depending on what
if
you're doing,
day trading,
it can be.
buying just GameStop stock or Nvidia or crypto.
There's lots of ways to gamble, but it's also the single biggest wealth building tool humanity's ever had, right? It's the access to the global financial markets allows anybody with access, with a phone, with the internet, to build wealth in some capacity. But he didn't know that. He didn't understand that. So that's what he would teach to his kids. And I think a lot of people are in that same boat where you're maybe the first generation in your family of looking outside of what has just been passed down, and you're looking and thinking, okay, how do I actually succeed? How do I build wealth? How do I build security for me and my family? And that was a really important moment for me, was seeing how other people had done it and realize that it's not impossible. You can do it. You have to be intentional and make decisions, but you can do it.
Would you call that a canon event?
Yeah, for sure.
Did you watch the last Spider-Man movie?
When they kept changing the
Across the Spider-Verse? Yeah. They were like, everybody had a canon event.
Yeah.
But yeah,
and they tried to change it, and then the world started to blow up or something like that.
The canon event, I think, was Peter Parker's dad passing away. Like, that was an event.
I thought it was his aunt.
Or sorry, his uncle, sorry.
Uncle, yeah.
The uncle.
So the uncle, okay.
And that's the canon event that has to happen. And when you, in the show, and if you break that, the whole timeline
changes. Yeah.
Gets screwed up.
Yeah.
But anyway.
No, I would agree. Yes, absolutely. Because it was, as hard as it was to go through it at that time, I'd be very, very different if I didn't get the opportunity to have that perspective.
You have quite, that's a great word, perspective. Like your perspective of it is like, that was, you could be for lack of a better word, like a victim to it, right? Like, but then, even the way you're explaining it, it's this opportunity you wouldn't have got otherwise. So do you appreciate that? Like, as hard as that was, do you look back and kind of like appreciate that canon event?
Yeah, me and Sierra talk about this relatively often, and I say that I'm not happy it happened, but I wouldn't change it because I'm really happy about the way that my life ended up. Like if I could go back to my 14, 15, 16-year-old self and say, this is where you could end up with an amazing family and like accomplish what you've accomplished, I wouldn't have believed you, not even close. So while it was really difficult during those times, you felt very lonely, you felt like you had there was a lot of negatives to it, but ultimately it built resilience to be able to achieve and do and be intentional with how my life has turned out so far. So yeah, I would say I wouldn't change it. No, I wouldn't change it at all.
That's one of my favorite perspectives. That's my view of life, is when you can fully appreciate your life to date exactly how it was without wishing to change it, then I don't know the details of it. I have a mentor who kind of shared that with me, and that was like the whole crux of it. It's like, and we did some work where you can actually, there's like a way to like kind of just look at life in a different way. You can kind of change your perspective, and it's not rocket science. It's literally like, you can have fantasies about the alternate option, but if you prefer the alternate option versus what actually happened, that'll cause problems. Like, because you infatuated with some other idea, and then it's funny how like your behaviors and the way you react to the world are changed. Like, for instance, like I'll give you a kind of a funny example. If I viewed myself, I grew up very fortunate. I'm just going to preface it that way. I don't feel like I lived a hard life, but I didn't view myself. My parents were very like financially frugal. That would be how it would be talked about now. Another word you could say is cheap. But my dad worked hard. Paying off debt was really important, and so I was always jealous of my friends who had all the video games and the TV, or like the nice stuff, the toys. And I had three siblings. There was a family of 6, but then to view myself as like I grew up with parents who were stingy or didn't give good Christmas gifts and stuff. That belief can lead to me spoiling my kids.
Mm-hmm.
And then what's the drawback of that? Like that has its
Absolutely,
own
yeah.
repercussions. And so somewhere, like neither way was better or worse than the other, because, and then even to look at my own life, like my parents weren't cheap because they invested in like music lessons, and I played music for years. I played the organ actually with your feet and two hands.
Yeah.
Like no one knows what it is even almost. Like they think of a pipe organ.
They still have them in some churches and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's weird, but like we had a Technic brand. It was like, and they had their own curriculum for music. It was kind of different than Royal Conservatory, but my dad bought like, I think at the time it was $9,000. This was in like the late 90s for an organ, a digital organ. And it was like, okay, well, you know, that's spoiling the kids.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know,
absolutely.
What kid would maybe think that's cool?
Mhm.
What kid would think that their parents weren't doing a good job because they didn't put them in sports or activities or music?
Mhm.
And then you go kind of like, if I look at my whole life, it's like, oh, then I learned how to perform. I learned how to be on stage, practice craft, learn creativity, get opportunities to show off my skills. And like all of that's translated into being a professional photographer and videographer. Like that's a very creative space. And so definitely some of the things, you know, if all I did was play video games,
Who knows? Yeah.
that's a different, you know, I still like video games, but you know, that's a different life. And like, I would have missed out on the benefits of what I did have, you know? So anyway, that looking back and appreciating it exactly as it is, even if it's hard, there's something that just opens your future up to whatever, like it just opens doors for you. So
I think the fact that you're in control, right, is a big thing that a lot of people struggle with, because when you're talking about like thinking back on your life, and that's something else that I credit for me going into the foster care system, is I always had the idea that there is somebody else out there with it significantly worse than me, because of the type of people that you would meet in the foster care system. Even like thinking about, I'm not going to go into any of the stories and stuff, but some of the stories are horrific of what some kids go through. And you're just like, okay, no matter, maybe people would hear my story and they'd be like,
I'm imagining the Queen's Gambit. Did you watch that series?
I did see it, yeah. I like chess.
So I'm like imagining that kind of foster home. I don't know what, like was it kind of like that? Open floors?
No. It was tend to be people that like they care. People that go into the foster care, like to be social workers and be foster carers and stuff. They care. They care about the kids. It's not
like the movies where
not quite. No, not quite.
You gotta escape and there's some, I don't know, like Matilda.
No, yeah, no. Did they have like a punishment, like a medieval torture chamber in Matilda's basement?
There was a name for it. My daughter was just in a musical for high school that they just performed it like last week. So funny.
It's been a long time since I watched that movie. But part of it is contentment, right? It's looking back and being able to not even looking back, but being even like right now, like being comfortable and happy with what you have, because there is always going to be somebody like your friends with more stuff. There's always going to be somebody. There would be people. I bet you there's people that looked at your life as a child and said, "Man, they're so lucky. I wish my parents could get me music lessons and like Lego and do all of that." Right? Yeah. Like there's always going to be somebody with more, and there's always going to be somebody with less. And learning to be content with what you have will open the world for your own happiness. I believe. I think that a lot of people, the reason they get into trouble in relationships, in finances, in just life in general, is because they can't take a break and be happy with be content, and call it contentment. Like I'm okay. I'm good with the way life is. I don't always need more, because there's always more.
That's a Scotiabank ad.
Is it?
That's like my favorite ad of all time, actually. It's been like they've been running it for 2 years, but it's like an ad of like two people in a coffee shop, and they look out the window, and the person in the nice, I think they're in a limo, and then it goes to that person, and then it goes to the person and then that person in the limo's looking at the person in the penthouse, and that person's, and then that person's looking up into the sky at the person in the private jet, and then the commercial ends with the person who is in the private jet back in that limo. Like it loops the whole ad, and they're envious because they're busy working. This is the story they're implying. They're not at home, and then they see the couple in the window of the coffee shop enjoying time together. Yeah, and it paints this picture of like what you see as more, and then it wraps it up with like, more could just be time with people you love. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
it's my favorite ad probably of all time.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Because it's so well done.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, but it's funny you talk about being content, because that's I've talked about on the show like many times, and that's actually like the thing I struggle with a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard someone say, happiness, I think it was Scott, I don't know his full name, it was on a podcast I saw. Happiness is the difference between what you have and what you want.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy's like a millionaire, like rich guy. He's on like Diary of a CEO. I think it was Scott Galloway or something like that.
Okay.
And it was like that difference, because no matter how rich you are or wealthy you are or how much you have, if what you want is still so far beyond what you already have, that delta is misery.
Yeah.
If it's too big. And I was like, huh, interesting.
Absolutely. 100%. I'd 100% agree. Because, and I think a lot of us know what it's going to make you happier. When I've had the privilege or the unfortunate of working with people like as they approach their deathbed. And the thing about it is people always say the same thing. They always want to wish they'd spent more time with their family, or really happy with the amount of time that they spent with their family and made memories and things like that. I've never met with somebody that said, I wish I had spent more time working and I'd spent more money on my vehicles. And
I wish I outperformed the market by 3% that year.
Right? It's just like people don't, that's not what's important to them. And I think when you are making big life decisions, working towards things that you know are going to be more important is important. I think that's a key thing. Like an example is, right at the moment, I take Thursday afternoons and I take Araya, like our daughter. Like I look after her. My wife stays at home, but that's Thursday afternoons is my time with her. And I could just work more just keep working. I work enough, but I could keep doing that and sacrifice the time. But I've always said to myself, I know for a fact that even if it doesn't feel like it right now, I will not regret this extra time with her. So I'm going to prioritize that over working more. And I feel like even decisions like that, you have to, like, even though it doesn't feel like it right now, if that makes sense, I know long term, I will be happier for making that decision.
I like that perspective too. Like, cause like the good life is a lot of small little things.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the trip to Disney. Like I have 3 kids, 16, 13, and 9. It's like we have some things we'd like to do. One of our things we wanted to do was go to Hawaii together, which we did. Great. But like, you're talking about spending time with your daughter. Like last night I tucked my youngest in. She still likes me to tuck her in. My older 2 don't care. Like my oldest kid doesn't go to bed until after I'm in bed. Like she's a teenager. She's in grade 11, and it's like you forget like how small these moments are. And my daughter asking me to tuck her in over my wife
makes you really happy.
I'm like, I like look at my wife and I'm like, huh? You hear that? Did you hear what she just said?
Yeah.
Because usually if I just bought her a new like some Roblox or whatever it's called, or some like app, and we have a little bond over things like that, or but it's fun to just have those little moments.
I think those moments are not worth sacrificing, because you don't even know when they're going to come, right? There'll be a last time that she asks you to tuck her in, and you don't know when that's going to come, and do you really want to miss that because you was on a shoot?
Yeah.
Like I just feel like it's not worth it, because you're not going to remember the other stuff years down the line, but she will remember. There's a saying for parents and kids that the axe forgets, but the tree remembers, and it's kind of describing the fact that as somebody in a position of authority over a child, you might do something that you will never think about again, like with the axe hitting a tree, but that damage is on the tree forever. And the axe moves on, goes and cuts another other trees, moves on with their life, might not even remember the fact that they took that swing at the tree, but the tree always remembers. And I think that's a really important thing that me and my wife are trying to bring into the way that we raise Araya, is because I've been the tree, and we're gonna make mistakes. Everyone's gonna make mistakes, but I don't want to make a mistake so big that it's forever damaged. And I think part of that is me making sure that I am around and for my kid, right?
So how do you, okay, outside looking in, this is getting into personal life. You grew up without maybe the ideal examples of what parenting would look like. In fact, you grew up based on the questions here
Wasn't
of
great.
what not to do
Yeah.
a lot of the time. And like, how do you adapt that into like how do you learn the things you're sharing with me now? Like, do you have did you find other good role models in life? Were some of the families you were in foster care with showing you? Do you read lots of books? Or is your wife a really good example for you? Or?
I would say all of the above. When I say that, like I talk about decision making a lot, and I really mean it, as in like you making decisions about ahead of time about the way that you are going to act in scenarios and what you're going to do. You almost hold yourself accountable to it. And with a partner, you can also have somebody else that'll hold you accountable to it as well. So I think there is so much information out there that just because of the way that just your own life experiences shouldn't dictate your decisions. Because if I let my own life decisions dictate all the decisions that I made, I would have failed a long, long time ago because I didn't have the role models. And part of it is like go into therapy, things like that will try to help you make good decisions and have healthy relationships, even when you haven't had the privilege of experiencing that growing up. It's, again, decisions matter. And I do think that I think people underestimate how much personal power you have to make different decisions, even if you weren't raised good, right?
Yeah, you were talking about like agency or autonomy over your own life earlier. Like, yeah. And so do you have like kind of a magnet towards like always seeking wisdom wherever you can find it, like best practices, not that it's like all about optimizing, but just like making the most of it. Like,
yes. And but I would say I am like, there's a healthy balance, and I don't quite think I'm at the healthy balance line. I think I'm
beyond it.
Yeah, I think I'm a little too far, which is why my wife and I are a good team in that way, because she's pretty good at pulling me.
How many parenting books did you read?
Too many. And a lot of it is you don't know. There's so much that you don't know, but you can make pretty good decisions that will likely lead to a certain direction, right? A lot of it is we don't know what the future holds, but we do know what the likely outcome of certain decisions are going to be. If I choose to argue in front of my child with my wife, we already know that kids, even under the age of 3, they might not remember it, but their nervous system is adjusted to that. So a decision that we made was, I think
you assume too much. That you said, I think we know.
Okay, well, if you read books about what psychologists and stuff have said, they all say that it's those years are really, really vital to a child's development. And people think that you can yell in front of them and all of that stuff, and it doesn't impact them, but the professionals say that it does. So
I was told that they internalize it actually at certain ages. Like I think it was like 10 and under, or 8 and under. They just assume it's their fault.
Yeah, I've heard that as well. Yeah,
because the way they view the world is so centered around them.
Yeah, which is really sad when you think about it.
Yeah,
right?
So if mom and dad are fighting, they just assume it's something they did.
Yeah,
which is you're right. It's sad, and in a loving family, like to know that they would perceive it that way. Like, of course, you want to protect them from that.
Yeah.
But.
So a decision we made was we're never arguing in front of them, right? And we made the decision. We hold each other accountable to the decision. We've made the decision ahead of time, so it's not a case of there's no world where it's now okay to do that. No matter what the argument is about, we've decided that it's not okay, so we don't do it. And I think that ability to, again, because we talk about it ahead of time, so we talk about it, we make a decision, and we do everything in our power to stick to that decision and hold each other accountable to it. So I would say I would account 99% of my success, our success, to my wife and I being a really good team in that capacity. That she gets me. So
Are you a fan of Jordan Peterson? A little bit, maybe.
Some things.
Well,
There's
okay, so he said one thing. You'll probably agree with this, but um, some of his stuff's controversial. But the one thing I really liked was he encourages spouses to spend like an hour or half an hour every week just to touch base, just to see how things are going. Especially like my wife works full time, I work full time. We have 3 kids. We spend a lot of time driving them around. We're involved in our own activities. And his thing is like, for the benefit of your marriage, you need to be a team, and to be a team, you have to touch base. Actually, one of your most recent, I saw it on your LinkedIn. It was talking about marriage. It was like 99 or something about marriages fail because of financial stress or something.
Yeah.
But even planning money like takes both people to commit, plan, know.
Absolutely.
And I was told by someone else that a lot of times in a family, like one of the parents is the money person. But that seems to go against that idea of being a team.
And you can set it up so there's a system of, like, in our house, obviously, that like a lot of it falls onto me.
Yeah, you would probably be the money person, but I assume your wife knows what's going on.
Absolutely right. And part of it is everyone needs to understand how important something like that is, because you're right. Yeah, most marriages fail. When they fail, it's because of money stress and money issues, and it's your team, your partner. I think the idea of marriage has gotten away a little bit from society. Like, it's this easy thing to break, but it's like, this is your person, right? Like, it's like, for me, my wife she's my person. She's like, throughout everything, it always starts with me and her. So, and I hope she'd say the same thing to me about me, but it's really important. I think I would agree. I think it's really, really important that you touch base and you tackle everything as is us against the problem, not me against her or anything like that. It's always, this is the problem, how are we going to solve this issue? And I think, by both of us putting each other first, I think it helps. It means when I go home, if I go home drained from the day, I don't come home to being more drained. I come home and I'm looking forward to it and I'm enjoying it, and it's always been like that. So I would say a lot of my success is because of that, because I can focus solely on everything but my home life. And I think coming from a somewhat turbulent home life, that was really important.
Are you pretty protective of your
Super
home?
protective.
Like, you make sure to...
Yeah, absolutely. And I know it comes up more when other people come over that cause arguments, if that makes sense.
No, it doesn't. Tell me.
Mother-in-law. Like, when, like, my wife and her mum, they get on great, but they bicker.
That's like a story trope in movies for a reason.
Yeah,
right?
It's probably everybody can relate to it. But I would say, like, because we are so protective over it. So I very much notice when somebody comes in and it's I would say I'm very protective.
I think you have a really pretty, like, I don't think that's a common view of your main relationship in your life. I think, I can't remember where I learned this, but it's like, you need to view your life with your partner as building something. And that's like as you build something, it makes it harder. It makes it harder to break apart. Like it's not like, I think, maybe we were alluding to this earlier, but like, you get into the marriage or relationship and there's the honeymoon phase, and then it all starts deteriorating. And then hopefully, if you can tolerate each other enough, you make it.
Yeah.
Where it's actually the opposite is true, is that your marriage actually can become so much stronger, and it's because you build something together. But you can't build something together unless you take time to connect, and building something together is not like necessarily building a business, though that could be it. But it's like the way you raise your children, the choices you make about where you live, the home, the way you spend your money, the meal planning you do, the activities you put your kids in. And then you're building this life that's worth preserving, and that kind of thing can weather a storm and bring a lot of fulfillment beyond what I would say maybe our North American perception is of marriage, which is just like, stay till it's not good anymore.
Because if that's the constant, I feel like it gives you the ability to go out into the world in a much better place and take more risks. And that's where your energy can be guided towards because you have such a strong foundation.
It's becoming a marriage podcast.
I know. We changed the topic.
But it's like if your
But
marriage sucks, like who cares how much money you have or how good your business is, and
doesn't matter.
and
I'm telling you, it
and
doesn't
if your
matter.
marriage was better, how much more money would you have? How much more success would you have?
Yeah.
Because it's funny, like if you it's hard if home life is challenging. How do you show up in the rest of the world when your key relationships are suffering?
I don't know. Let's say you have the capacity to deal with 8 fires in a day and 6 of them are at home. That leaves 2 for the office. I don't know. That's not enough fires for me to be able to put out in a day to be really productive.
That would make me an alcoholic, I think. I think so.
Yeah.
What pushed you to move to Canada? So you were 18 when you moved here.
I was 19.
Okay, your wife's question.
18, 19. I don't know anymore.
Serena.
But
Or Sienna.
Sierra.
Sorry, I'm not even getting the name right. Sierra, if you're listening, 20.
Maybe I was 8. No, it would have been 9.
Maybe your wife
18?
knows you more than you do. She wrote 18.
Yeah, I would go with what she's saying.
You're 18.
Yeah, let's go with 18.
So what made you move here?
Aged out of the foster care system. Didn't really have any, I have cousins in an aunt and uncle in Regina that basically said, hey, you can come here while you figure life out. And
This was your mom's?
my dad's sister.
Oh, she moved here. Okay, because your mom was Canadian.
Yeah.
But your dad had a sister who already moved to Canada.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
She used to live in the UK and they emigrated to Canada many years ago to Regina. And they said, hey, come stay with us until you figure your life out. And at that point, I already met Sierra. We were already friends because I came few years prior.
So she's from Regina.
She's from Regina, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
And you already had a Canadian citizenship because...
Just walked in, yeah.
Not that I don't think it's that hard if you're from the UK to become...
You'd be surprised.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. I know at that point anyway, I know a lot of people it was harder than it has gotten maybe in recent times, but I know it was a little harder for sure because people were like my aunt and uncle. Took them a while. They tried a few times to come over and couldn't. So I was fortunate for sure. And honestly, when I was growing up in the UK, there was zero part of me that thought I would end up in Canada. It was I had a Canadian citizenship, but it surprised me.
Well, I mean, you didn't really, unless you visited much.
I'd never. This was when I came and stayed. It was the second time I'd ever been here. So.
And then what kind of made you want to move? Just that? It wasn't a lack of opportunities, or?
It was. I'm going through the foster care system without support from people that you would hope you'd receive it from. My aunt and uncle were willing to give me time to figure stuff out, and it was
did you just need some space to breathe?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
It was.
And then you said you're out of the foster care system,
so that support system, I didn't have really didn't have a place to go back to. My room was given away. I didn't have a key. It was
good luck kind of thing.
It was a it was a tough time for sure. Because then you look over the fence and you see all the other people that are your similar age that get given this head start in life, and you kind of feel very left. Yeah, feel very alone for sure. And that's a really young age to feel so alone. But again, it worked out, so I can't complain. But yeah.
And then you've been here ever since, basically.
Been here ever since.
You ever go back even once?
I've been a few times. Yeah, no, I've been a few times.
Okay.
But not very often. But, yeah.
Your LinkedIn profile says you're an INTP, which is a Myers-Briggs thing.
Yeah.
I'm an ENTP.
Oh, okay.
So, what does that mean to you? How do you use that information?
Is that my last question?
Well, her
Did
thing
she put
was
that on there?
Your LinkedIn. I'm going to quote this. Your LinkedIn profile says you're an INTP who values truth and understanding. What does that mean? How does that shape your decisions?
That is so okay. So years ago, my wife is really into psychology, and so she got into the Myers-Briggs, or more importantly, there's cognitive functions that are the way that somebody prefers to make decisions. And I thought it was a load of like a load of crap. Didn't really like. I would kind of tease her for it, and then the more she learned about it, the more she would tell me about it, and now it's something that I actually use when even working with clients to try to figure out how somebody makes decisions. So really, Myers-Briggs is basically a decision-making framework, a decision-making, like how does somebody make decisions? And a part of that is, for me, for instance, it means that I think about decisions basically. Simplify, I think about decisions a lot before I make decisions, and I try to base it on what is true, not what I want to be true. So a lot of people will base their decisions on their personal experience or what mum and dad said or what a friend said. I try to be very objective to that.
Like you're searching for absolute truth in every corner of every decision.
Yeah. I don't
obsessively almost.
Yeah. And I don't really care. It's been a detriment in some areas, but I don't really, just because somebody is telling it to me doesn't mean that it doesn't matter to me. It's about what can be proven true. And that directly impacts the way I do my job even.
So would you say you're like an ultimate skeptic, but a seeking skeptic maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say, which leads you down a certain path when it comes to like financial planning and decision making, because for me, it's a case of, okay, well, what do the numbers say? What does the data say? This decision might not be as up to the individual as I think it is. Maybe there is a right way to do things, and people just want to tell themselves that it's okay to do things 10 other ways when the data is very clear that there's one good way to do things. So that's my approach.
So
for a lot of big decisions.
Do you almost take everything in that view? Like, we'll call it skepticism, which I'm very skeptical, but I use it in a healthy way. I would say, like, if someone tells me something that disagrees with maybe my instinct, it's not like I won't believe them, but I'll just like fact check it and then be like, and then because I want to learn, is it true or not? And if it is, but it goes against what I maybe perceive to be true or, general knowledge, like, like I want to know. And then I'm not like, I'm not heels in the ground just for the sake of being a devil's advocate on anything, but more like, okay,
because then I want to, because if I'm thinking about this wrong, then I want to change the way that I'm thinking about it to align with what the truth is. Is my approach.
Yeah, you're not attached to your opinions. Like, if there's a better one, you'll just freaking drop the wrong one.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of people, because I will question a lot, right? Like, I'm sitting down with somebody, I'll question it. I'll question their perspectives. And I think oftentimes it can come across as if I'm attacking their belief system or their beliefs. But in reality, it's a case of like, if what you're saying is true, I'm a jump on board. I am not attached to my personal view. It's a case of I am attached to, let's find what the objective truth is in this scenario and make decisions from that. Because so I'm okay to be wrong. I love being wrong. I love talking to people that are way smarter than me that can teach me a ton of stuff.
That's my preference, actually.
Yeah, me too. I love it. It's great.
I used to want to be the smart guy in the room, and I'm like, no, I'd rather be the dumbest guy in the room. Just like, I'm happy to be dumb as long as I get to learn from someone who's smart.
Yeah, you're very, very similar to me. My wife always makes fun of me. She's like, because she'll be like, what are you doing? And I'll be learning something. And she'll be like, oh, you're learning. Because that's all she's like, that's all I want to do is learn stuff. But I really like learning. I like improving my skill set. It's a major part of me, I would say.
Well, talking about learning, like, how did you go from, we've shared kind of like how you see the world. I think you've done a really good job. Like, I appreciate your perspective. I share some of those feelings to you, and probably the same reason you have a podcast and I have a podcast. And I think we share a lot of motives. I'm an ENTP on the values determination test. Do you do Enneagram, by the way? Did you do Enneagram?
My wife has made me do it. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, you have. That one's the craziest test. I did a workshop, and you have to answer it yourself because it's not what's true.
Okay.
You have to. In Enneagram, you have to answer on what you perceive to be true about the way you see the world.
Okay.
So it'd be like, do you look out at the future? You don't compare yourself to like the general public. Well, maybe you do, but like the idea is like, do I view myself as someone who plans for the future?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Whether you do comparatively to other people doesn't matter. It's like your ego, and that one's a really interesting one.
Does it give you like a two numbers and then like a wing or something like
Yeah,
it like
that's the one with wings. I'm a
yeah.
7, and wing, I don't even know how wings work. But
Yeah, I know I've done the test at some point. Yeah.
But yeah, we had a facilitator who worked with prison inmates,
Mm-hmm.
and she used enneagrams to help them see decision making. And the most interesting question she asked that really kind of like was interesting to me was to divide the room into different groupings. Was, okay, you're on a tree, standing on a branch, and the branch cracks and starts breaking. What's your first instinct? And then she named 3 options. I'm going to try to remember them. One was, do you reach for another branch? Do you call for help? Or do you start planning your landing?
Mm-hmm.
And the funny thing to me was like, it was so obvious to me what I would do, which was plan my landing. But for other people, it was like, because she was like, get in the moment and imagine yourself there. And your gut instinct is like how you frame the world, see the world. And anyway, the Enneagram kind of goes more into detail into like the way your perception processes the world. Anyways, I thought it was so interesting. But back to your learning, like, so I imagine you're the kind of guy, you run the numbers. If someone says, 4% rule for like withdrawing retirement savings.
Don't even get me started on that. But yes.
But like all these tropes or whatever you want to call them, let's just call them like canned advice. Do you go, okay, you get your Excel spreadsheet out, you pull historical data, you run simulations from different starting points, and
yeah. So what often happens in the financial advice world is a best fit solution is the trope, and that's what a lot of people have recommended. When in reality, if you think of financial planning or your life like remember those pegboards that you would have as a kid with like gears on them? Remember that? Yeah. Okay, so imagine like you have like basically like 10 of those just slapped on a board. And when you turn one, all the other ones will adjust. And because that's the way that financial planning works. Like you change one thing, everything else adjusts. But if people just follow the tropes, it often leads to mediocre advice. So a great one is the 4% rule for retirement withdrawals. That matters, like how you're invested matters hugely to whether that would even be close to possible or feasible. So the rule is, it's great as a starting point, but when you're making like big life-changing decisions, some of the rules can be really dangerous for sure. Yeah. But
if you're listening, you don't know what that is. I'm not an expert, but I said it because I was like, or like another trope would be probably like,
invest your RSPs first, like
your cash bond mix or whatever.
That's another great one where we have studies. We have great studies that show that the higher the amount of bonds, like the typical advice for a lot of people is life cycle investing. So basically, the older you are, the higher percentage of bonds that you should hold. But when you actually look at the data, that has the highest probability of failure, of like a bad outcome, is doing that. Yet that's the advice that is given to the general public instead of teaching them how to actually make a decision. So there are some bad ones that the industry has used for a long time that lead to really poor results. It's very interesting.
Why do you think those things stay around and stick around? Like, why do you
ease, right? Like it's easy to say everybody should do this, or it's. I think it's easy. I think it's much easier, or even lazy for the professionals out there, because there's, as I said, there's cogs, right? And when you move one, 10 other things move. So is it easier just to say do this generalized thing than if you move this cog, then this one also moves, and that one also moves, and this one also moves? I think it just gets too complicated for the average person to bond with the piece of advice. Mm-hmm. So it's easier just to give a generalized rule and say, follow this. You'll be hopefully in the ballpark area.
So this pegboard of financial planning, you just love it.
Like, yes,
Like you just
it's one of the again, people I'm the life of the party, but it's Yeah, it
Well,
is.
everyone's probably like, I think actually the last time I saw you was like, pay off your mortgage first or TFSA, and you're like, wow, depends.
Yeah.
Probably pay like stay do your TFSA, but like I don't know. Like,
There's so many factors to it, and it is one. Again, I give some very generalized, like good. This is a good direction to go in, but when it comes to like optimizing side, there's so much to it. You just have to, and that's what I enjoy. I enjoy putting it together and based on the information, making good decisions.
do you like teaching people, like kind of showing them the options they have, like kind of taking that deep dive of their life and painting a picture of what's possible?
Yes and no. So I like doing the work. Teaching people can be a little dangerous because what happens is you, like when it goes to the more complicated stuff where this is reliant on this and this, like when there's too many variables, it can be very overwhelming unless you're really, really into personal finance. And then if you are, you're probably an advisor anyway. So I would say that there is definitely a balance between, and it's taken me a while to learn that, but there's definitely a balance between somebody coming to me and saying, this is my life, I learn about it, I then go away, do the work, make my recommendation, and they just want the recommendation, versus same thing happening, but then I walk them through all of the different
Logic,
scenarios, and
decision-making.
like it can very often be very overwhelming, and it's taken a maturity to realize that people,
They don't care about it as much as you.
no, right? It's like if they cared about it as much as me, they would be doing it themselves.
Yeah, they wouldn't need
so
you. Yeah.
It's taken maturity for me to get to the point where I can say, this is the end result, this is what my recommendation is, ask me whatever you want, I can almost guarantee that I've thought about it, but this is my recommendation. So we kind of, while I enjoy talking about it, it's often not what the client's looking for. So I try to focus more on, this is my final recommendation.
Yeah, and there's different types. Yeah, and like what you said, there's different types of people. Like lots of people just don't want to do this. Like, like and part of even like owning a business, you have to delegate certain tasks, and like hiring someone like you would be
a delegation of a task. Yeah, exactly.
They vet you out. You're a pretty smart guy. You're neurotic about this. I can tell. I say that lovingly, by the way. But like you look at the paths and you're looking for where the water's going to flow, and what the options are, and
you pick the person, right? Like I always say, like the way I work with the clients is you're picking me. You're not picking like a certain investment or a certain route. You're picking my brain as,
I would call it a coach.
Yeah,
like,
kind of.
Like
yeah.
That to me is the role you're playing. Is like you can go to the gym and you can just have access to the gym and do your own programming. You can go to the gym and buy boot camp group classes, or you can go to the gym and buy like the personal trainer. And then I would put you in the personal trainer in a way, like you're like literally there making sure you're not making them do it like a personal trainer would, but you're,
well, to a degree, I kind of force people.
I guess.
Yeah,
I mean,
to a degree,
you know what?
yeah.
I bet that's even a benefit of like some accountability, just like getting, like, I mean, step one, save money. Like,
I'm also
sorry,
very
step
much,
one, think about the rest of your life.
Yeah, that's definitely a step. Yeah, I'm also very much a systems person, so I think that you need to, like, when it comes to these harder things that people struggle, like budgeting even, I think it's better to have a system that stops you from overspending versus tracking every penny. I just think it's if you set up your life in a way with a system that makes success easier, I think people are more likely to do it.
Tell me a bit about your whole philosophy of like wealth, because like I think maybe if you listen to this, people might oversimplify it to just you are a financial planner, but not all financial planners are the same, right? Like you could, like they're just different. Yeah. So maybe you just tell me about that philosophy. And even before we were recording, we were talking about business, and you talked about this book that I'm just starting to kind of get into, a profit first mentality as a corporation, but like.
Yeah.
And you talked about budgeting, and actually the first time I met you, we filmed a video of you doing a little video for financial literacy of high school students here in Saskatoon. So, yeah.
I would say my overarching philosophy when it comes to money is that we've spoken a lot about decisions. It's that making decisions that make future decisions easier is worth it. So for example, the budgeting, setting up a system that allows you to spend, if you're the type of person that will spend everything in their account, setting up a system that will limit what's in your account so that you can still continue to do that and meet all your other goals is worth the initial time investment. If you are investing, creating a system that will mean that you have $50,000 comes in, you know exactly what you're going to be doing with it because you already have the system in place to achieve success. I think the system is where people get most caught up with, and that's what I am very good at building, to summarize it very simply. So even a case of like, what type of investments would you have in a corporation versus personally? How much do I want in retirement savings? How much do I want in my TFSAs versus RSPs? All of those questions really boils down to what's the system? What are we trying to achieve? And then you just follow the system and you'll be in a good place. I think people get bogged down on the individual decisions way too much.
How much crypto should I buy? Should I buy NVIDIA? Should I buy an unhedged?
Versus a hedged one? Do I like all of those decisions? Oftentimes aren't the big impactful ones that really get you from point A to B. Like even those type of decisions, I would much rather you be concerned about my overall asset allocation towards equity versus bonds versus you deciding, putting your mental energy towards should it be hedged to the US dollar or not. It's just not an important enough decision that is going to change the trajectory of your life, but there are decisions that will change the trajectory of your life. That's where you want the focus. That's where you want to be putting the mental capacity.
It reminds me of those meme videos online where it's like, oh, they zoom in on like a part of a car and it's like, oh, I got a little scuff here. And then they zoom out and it's like the rest of the car's totally totaled. Yes. And where it's like the idea of like focusing on the small without the big is just, yeah, it's funny. I find it so funny, like even in all points of life, there's all these like places where like, you know, we're missing the trees for the forest sort of thing. Yeah, and I don't know. Finance
is one of them for sure. It's definitely one of them where people get very bogged down on the completely wrong things. It's like how you invest your first $10,000, as long as it's like diversified, whether it's through Wealth Simple or Q-Trade or whatever it is, really doesn't matter. And it's like they're not the things that are going to impact you for life, right? Getting to that $10,000 though will. So it's just people
you're probably having some like big financial conversations with someone, not sure how they should move their money around. Well, how much do you have? $10,000. Like you could 10x that, and that's not enough for retirement,
right? And that's exactly, you're trying to optimize. What are you
gonna do with $100,000?
You're trying to optimize whether this portfolio of $10,000 is going to make 8% or 8.2%. Like it's like, okay, like what are we doing here? Like
there's another problem here.
Much bigger problem that you need to solve. So people, it's very easy to get bogged down because people are scared of finance and things like that. But I would say that's my biggest differentiator, is just the systems and making decisions consistently, making it easier to make good decisions.
And then you have that skill set of working with corporations and.
Yeah.
Do you find like you tend to get, you have the most leverage? Well, you said that's the lever, I believe was your words, a corporation to kind of do a few things. Do you find most of your clients are lean that way to like business owners, or do you have like a niche or specialty, that you?
Yeah. So the reason that I ended up working with corporation owners is the vast majority of advisors in Canada can't. It's because a very small part of the population actually has the complexity of them. It means for most people, maybe you'd have one or two clients that actually have corporations, which means that you just don't build the experience. You don't build the experience. You don't build the knowledge, and easy things get missed all the time. Where it's just this low hanging fruit that you're just like, you're throwing away thousands in taxes just because your advisor doesn't know how to invest money, or because your advisor isn't talking to the accountant. And so since that is my focus, and that's that's where I put my entire focus. Things, have you ever heard of like knowledge bias? It's like, I think it's very easy to do it this way, but then somebody will come in and without the experience and knowledge, and they have no idea, but it's just because I've been doing it for so long. And
Yeah, I do it all the time.
The easy thing. My wife keeps getting on me about it because in the podcast I say things like, "Oh, everybody knows." She keeps getting on me for that.
You did it today.
Like, no, yeah, exactly. I'm sorry, but the corporation owners is one of them. Where even
I have a corporation, and I'm not even like, I don't even get it, to be honest.
It's complicated, but corporations are single-handedly one of the most incredible tools for building wealth in Canada. And it's like, but it only really works properly if you use it properly. And most people don't know how to use it properly. And accountants, it's getting better, but I'd say a lot of accountants don't plan years ahead. It's more about compliance and filing taxes correctly and not being audited by the CRA versus long-term thinking about where you're investing money and things like that really come into play when you have a corporation. Because I'm telling you, they can be an incredible catalyst for building wealth, but there is complexity to it, and I like complexity, so it kind of was a match.
Well, you like making the future decisions easier. What was your phrase?
Making systems that make future decisions easier.
Yeah, I like that. That was awesome. We're out of time for the day. I think I just need to have you on again. Thank you, Tre, for being here. I'm gonna ask one more question. One idea or mindset about money that you wish more business owners truly understood. Maybe you kind of hit it there, but
I would say that being a business owner, you are an investor in the business. So separating when you make decisions for your business, being able to do it from I own this business versus I'm working in this business is really important. So when you're making decisions for your business, you need to make the best decisions for the business that aren't necessarily the best decisions for you as an employee in the business. And too often I see people that are good at their craft going into business without knowing how to run a business, and it kind of hurts them in the short term and in the long term. They get into trouble with CRA. They don't know how to put money aside properly. It's like it's a skill set of being in business. And I wish more business owners understood just how to run a business, because it can be very profitable, it can be very lucrative, it can do a lot of things, but only if you put in the time to learn how.
I love it. Well, if you don't know how to do those things, go reach out to Tre. You can find him on Instagram at TreBynoe. That's his name. Or at his website, TreBynoe.ca. We'll have those links in the show notes. But also, you're very active on LinkedIn, so find Tre on LinkedIn.
Yeah, find me anywhere, really.
Tre Bynoe. I'm gonna get it all right there. So yeah, find him there. Handsome fella, lovely to chat with. Very charismatic and very, very future oriented. So thank you for being on the show. I really appreciate your time, and
thanks for the invite.
I feel like I've learned a lot today.
I've learned a lot about you as well. So.